ng browser, ng timer,
Sige
para
po, sir, wait
makikita
lang.
nila. Oo.
Ah,
Sige. Meron kasi akong ginagawa kaya hindi ako makapag-share. And then also, kailangan pala natin mag-flip a coin bago tayo magsimula. Sige. One representative nga from Team A. Heads or tails? Yes, ban.
Heads po kami.
Okay. So lumabas ay heads. The opposing team will give their opening statement first. Okay, yung kalaban nila ban. Anong team ba kayo? Team A kayo, no? So si Team B yung magsisimula. Okay, yung ano muna tayo, against the flat earth. Okay, ready na po ba yung timer, Miss May? Paki-share po muna. Ayan. Okay, so once na mag-start silang mag-introduce, pwede na pong start yung timer. Okay, so without further ado, the floor is yours, guys.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, judges. Good morning, team, the opposition. Good morning to you all. So I would like to explain the against or our side. So in recent times, the technologies has been prevalent, and we have seen the prevalence of misinformation as well. So this misinformation creates a environment of us that people believe in such things that are literally conspiracy theories. And to the question, flat or is Earth flat or is it round? We know that it is. We know, or we the allies, we know that it is indeed. We know that the Earth is round, or specifically an oblate spheroid. It is in without a doubt that the oblate spheroid shape of the Earth is in a 3D plane or three-dimensional plane, and we know that it is indeed in such a fact that it is backed up by a lot of scientists, such as gravity by Newton's, and then there are other many things like theory of relativity, which we can explain which it explains the travel of light in a gravity, and how it affects our vision and so forth. And we would like to say that that our group will say, or we will present some historical and empirical evidences that will be a fundamental force in our arguments.
Hello, am I audible po? Okay. So, for our first point, we will be discussing the gravity's impact on the shape of the planet. Gravity is the fundamental force that shapes our celestial bodies, including the Earth itself. It causes the Earth's mass to pull equally in all directions, which forms the spherical shape of the Earth. The process of accretion then leads to the particles clumping together under their gravitational influence, which grows into large spherical masses. It is to be noted, however, that smaller masses like asteroids, which lack sufficient gravity, do not achieve a spherical shape. Since Earth has a significant mass compared to other objects, it enables it to maintain this round shape. Next, we will be examining the historical foundations that help shape our understanding of the Earth's shape. Number one is the ancient beliefs and observations of people from that time. While ancient civilizations initially believed that the Earth was indeed flat due to their horizon observations, philosophers like Pythagoras in the 6th century BCE observed that other celestial bodies were spherical and proposed about Earth's roundness. Anaxagoras then noted that Earth's curved shadow during lunar eclipses, which provided early evidence for a round Earth. In addition, Eratosthenes' calculations during 240 BCE proved that the circumference of the Earth using geometry and shadows from two locations. By measuring the angles of shadows cast by sticks in two locations, it was deduced that the Earth must be round. This achievement, combined with mathematical reasoning, proved that through empirical observation that the Earth was round. And lastly, there was also practical proof to exploration. The Magellan-Elcano exploration from 1519 to 1522 provided practical proof of Earth's spherical shape by successfully circumnavigating the globe. This journey demonstrated that traveling westward from Spain did not lead to an edge, further solidifying the concept of a round Earth.
Uh, Thank you, Aaron, for that wonderful presentation. Next, we'll talk about the observable evidence supporting a spherical Earth. So, sailors observed stars shifting in the sky as they moved along the globe. The appearance of different constellations based on latitude is only possible if the Earth is spherical. The phenomenon of ships disappearing hull first over the horizon further supports Earth's curvature, as the curvature obstructs the view of the ship from the observer's standpoint. Next. If the Earth were flat, gravity would exert force unevenly, causing objects to lean toward the center, leading to bizarre phenomena such as diagonal trees and tilted structures. This instability contradicts the observed uniformity of gravity on Earth, where objects are pulled towards the center, resulting in a spherical shape.
So in 1851, Leon Foucault made a pendulum swing that explains the revolution or rotation of the Earth. So in that, there is a revolution of the Earth that suffice, or like say the evidence of the Earth being an oblate spheroid is true compared to it being a false state of being it a false. So to evaluate it, it talks about the rotation of the Earth, and because of it talks about the rotation, we can say that the Earth is round or oblate spheroid rather than it being a flat. Considering it is if in a flat space, then the Earth will not be spin or rotate evenly. So in a model of flat Earth is that in a model of flat Earth is that the sun and the moon rotates while the Earth does not rotate. And considering the photographic evidences from space, there is a deep space observatory satellite that covers the NASA's now, or the pictures of NASA in the space of the Earth. And during the Apollo missions, there are also pictures of the Earth, and it and we can see that the Earth has a curvature and it is not in a flat, or that there is no evidence that there are ice edge or the model of the flat Earth. That's it for the for us allies po.
Miss May, paki-reset po yung timer. Yan, okay. Please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I invite you to explore a perspective that has shaped human understanding for centuries. Let's begin with historical evidence. With ancient civilizations, the Egyptians and Mesopotamians envisioned the Earth as a flat disk floating on an ocean, a belief deeply rooted in their mythology and religious views. This cosmology influenced their architecture, art, and navigation. For Greek philosophers such as Thales and Anaximander also contributed to these beliefs. Anaximander is credited with creating one of the earliest maps, Depicting a flat Earth resting on a cylindrical shape, Herodotus described the ends or edges of the Earth, suggesting a flat model. During the medieval period, certain religious texts reinforced flat Earth beliefs. For instance, some interpretations of the Talmud describe a flat Earth with the sun moving around it. This perspective persisted among some scholars and communities well into the Renaissance. In the 19th centuries, Samuel Rowbotham revived flat Earth theories with his publication Zetetic Astronomy. He conducted the Bedford level experiment, claiming to demonstrate the flatness of the Earth by observing a boat on a 6-mile stretch of water. His observations indicated that the flag atop the boat remained visible, contradicting the expected curvature of a spherical Earth. For the Antarctica Wall, a significant element of the flat Earth model is the concept of the Antarctica as an ice wall. Advocates argue that this ice wall encircles the flat Earth, acting as a boundary that keeps ocean in and prevents any exploration beyond its limits. Many believe that the government and the other authorities restrict access to Antarctica to conceal the true nature of our world. This idea draws on the notion that the Antarctic region remains largely unexplored and poorly understood, inviting speculation about what lies beyond. Flat Earth proponents often use maps depicting Antarctica as a boundary wall to support their claims, asserting that the world is much larger than we are led to believe, with Antarctica marking the edges of this expansive plain.
Okay, now moving on to contemporary observations. Now let's consider contemporary observations that support the flat Earth model. One compelling argument is based on the nature of large bodies of water. Advocates argue that water always finds its level, suggesting that the large expanses of water cannot curve. This observation raises questions about the curvature expected on a spherical Earth. The Black Swan experiment is a prominent example, showing two platforms 6.21 miles apart, with no visible curvature obscuring their lower parts. This observation supports the notion of a flat horizon. Now, star trails present another interesting phenomenon. On a spherical Earth, star trails should display varying arcs based on latitude. However, flat Earth proponents argue that the circular motion of the stars observed from different locations supports the idea of a flat plane with a dome overhead, where stars rotate above a flat Earth. Now, airplane flight patterns also raises skepticism about a spherical model. Many flat Earth advocates point out that flight routes, especially those over long distances, often appear to take strange detours that would make sense only if the Earth were flat. They argue that direct routes would be more efficient if the Earth were indeed a globe. Now, the Foucault pendulum, often used as an evidence of Earth's rotation, can also be questioned. Flat Earth proponents argue that the observed motion of the pendulum could be explained through local conditions rather than the Earth's curvature and rotation. Ocean currents present another layer of discussion. Flat Earth advocates argue that the patterns of the ocean currents and their interaction with the continents can be explained through a flat model, where water movement is less affected by a rotating sphere. Now, geological features such as the absence of significant curvature observed in landscapes challenge the idea of a spherical Earth. For example, when viewing mountains or large valleys, the apparent flatness contradicts what would be expected from a curved surface. Additionally, perceptual evidence plays a crucial role. Flat Earth proponents often point to the everyday experiences, such as standing on a flat surface and observing a flat horizon. They argue that personal observation should not be dismissed, as they reflect a more intuitive understanding of our world. The Coriolis effect, which describes the deflection of moving objects caused by the rotation of the Earth, is another point of contention. Flat Earth advocates argue that the expected effects of the Coriolis force, like the rotation of weather patterns and ocean currents, could be explained differently on a flat Earth model, raising questions on how it is presented in spherical Earth theory. Lastly, skepticism of authority drives many to question the mainstream narrative about the Earth's shape. The belief that information is controlled and manipulated by governments and institutions encourages individuals to seek alternative explanations, including that the flat Earth model. Any ideas that the Earth would be spherical, said by scientific world and the media that spreads it, serves to give a narrative and to say to the world is round, so we could easily be manipulated.
All right, now let's address some of the common scientific arguments against the flat Earth model. One argument is the disappearance
Call
of ships
and
over the
recording.
horizon, which is often cited as evidence of the curvature. However, flat Earth advocates argue that the phenomenon can be explained through perspective and atmospheric conditions, suggesting that the objects recede from view due to visual limits rather than a curvature. Flat Earth proponents argue that what we perceive as gravity is actually the result of acceleration rather than a gravitational pull from a spherical mass. They suggest that a flat Earth is accelerating upwards at a constant rate, often theorized to be 9.8 meters per second squared. Creating a sensation similar to gravity, this concept draws on ideas from some interpretations of physics that propose that objects accelerate in a specific direction, making it feel like gravity is acting upon them. Flat Earth advocates often argue that the flat model operates under different principles than conventional gravity. They claim that the forces involved in this model, such as the upward acceleration mentioned earlier, counteract any collapsing force. They might argue that if the Earth were indeed flat and accelerating, the distribution of mass would lead to stability in its structure, preventing collapse. Furthermore, they may assert that there is no observable evidence of curvature or gravitational force pulling everything towards a center point, suggesting that a flat Earth is not subject to the same physical limitations as a spherical one. Time zones and the varying time of sunrise and sunset also present challenges. Flat Earth proponents argue that some move in a circular path above a flat surface, creating differing light and darkness across regions without requiring a spherical model. For example, the Burj Khalifa Tower at 2,717 feet allows observers at the top to see the sun 3 minutes later than those at the bottom, illustrating how elevation affects perception. While lunar eclipses are often cited as evidence of a spherical Earth due to the curved shadow cast on the moon, flat earther supporters contend that this could occur through other astronomical alignments and do not definitively prove a spherical shape. Additionally, the lack of a curvature observable in an aerial photography is frequently cited by flat Earth advocates. They argue that numerous high-altitude photos show a flat horizon, questioning the integrity of images that purport the show of curvature. In closing, I argue that you should keep an open mind, critically examine the evidence surrounding the flat Earth perspective by exploring the historical and contemporary viewpoints. We can also engage on a more robust discussion about our understanding of the world. That's all. Thank you very much.
For rebuttal, we will have 5 minutes. Okay, so ganun na lang po, no? Always i-change na lang si timer or reset and then proceed na. No need na magsalita pa ako. So after ni rebuttal na 5 minutes, yung cross-examination ay 10 minutes and then si closing statement ay another 5 minutes.
So we would like to start with the Daniel Cardiamante said that the history of the Earth is being a flat, being a flat surface. So we would like to start it with the historical evidence cited is not credible enough, and it is because in the evidence itself, it talks about the Bible, and it is not credible enough to become or to be credible enough as in par with the scientific knowledge or scientific research. So we, the allies, would like to say that the historical evidences that cited through Daniel Carr is false. Jeff Lesha, would you like to say something?
Oh, hello. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes po, audible ka po.
Again, thank you for your point. While historical evidence may suggest a flat Earth, it's also important to understand that many of these sources, like the Bible, were written in a different context and are not scientific texts. Scientific research relies on evidence, observation, and experimentation, which have consistently shown that the Earth is round. Historical beliefs are valuable, but they must be evaluated alongside modern science. So, in short, just because some ancient texts describe a flat Earth doesn't mean that they are accurate. Scientific methods provide the reliable understanding we have today about the Earth's shape. Thank you. And to add, hello? Oh. Um,
Hello, naglalag daw po kasama. So to add na lang, the misconception that the Earth must be flat because it looks flat to us arises simply because the Earth is big and the height of an adult is much less than 1 millionth of the Earth's radius. In order to see the curvature of the Earth in a single field of view, you would need to be perched above the surface a sizable fraction of that radius, and 1 million wouldn't be considered sizable. That's it. Thank you.
As Jeff told us, is how does ano beliefs how is believing in the images science presents any different from having faith in a higher power? If you trust those scientific image without observing them directly with your perspective, are not you putting your faith in them? You're putting your faith in these mathematicians and scientists. How is that different from believing in a God?
To not really expand on Daniel's point, but uh, as you said, modern, we shouldn't believe past historical knowledge due to what we have currently as technology, but what we have today were influenced by the previous philosophers, such as Anaximander, who proposed the flat Earth model. Pythagoras and Aristotle, while have differing models, uh, also gained attraction. Uh, Maps also back in the day were presented with flat Earth, especially the one where he said about Magellan. Now, we could argue that Magellan was taking the routes that weren't really. You could suggest that the journey could have been completed without ever needing to navigate around the sphere, depending on the routes taken. The navigational techniques also used by the sailors, including Magellan, were based on flat maps and were not necessarily dependent on a spherical model. And historical accounts of Magellan's voyage may be exaggerated as well or misinterpreted over time. And you can question the reliability of these accounts. There is also physical evidence from Magellan's voyage that confirms can you cite examples actually for evidences that confirm a spherical Earth, and also the eyewitnesses accounts from those who sailed with Magellan, suggesting that they may not been interpreting their journey in the context of a spherical Earth. And modern navigation systems as well, which often rely on flat Earth concepts, continue to work effectively without needing a spherical Earth model. That's it.
Also, if NASA has a budget of billions and they profit from keeping people believing in space travel and that the Earth is round, what if they've been tricking us all these years? By today's technology, we know how easy it is to create CGI pictures and AI created pictures. So who knows to say that those images of Earth being round is really real without us observing them from their point of view.
Okay, first, I have to answer your first question. So thank you for your question. To answer your first question, believing in scientific findings is fundamentally different from faith in higher power. Science relies on evidence, observations, and repeatable experiments. Numerous reputable organizations, including NASA and universities worldwide, have provided overwhelming evidence that the Earth is round. For example, the Apollo 11 mission in 1969 not only landed humans on the moon, but also returned stunning photographs of Earth from space, clearly showing its spherical shape. Additionally, satellite images from various missions, like those from the Hubble Space Telescope, consistently depict the Earth as a sphere. Eyewitness accounts further support the Earth's roundness. Sailors and pilots have long noted that ships disappear hull first over the horizon, which is consistent with a curved surface. The historical Magellan expedition successfully circumnavigated the globe in the early 1500s, providing further evidence of a round Earth. Moreover, Eratosthenes, a Greek mathematician, measured the angle of shadows in two different locations in Egypt around 240 BC to calculate the Earth's circumference, proving it was spherical. So in contrast, belief in a higher power is based on personal faith and spherical conviction, often without empirical evidence. So science is a self-correcting process that evolves with new discoveries, while religious beliefs are often fixed. So trusting scientific findings is about relying on proven methods and evidence, not blind faith. So to answer your second question, Daniel, while it's true that technology, including AI-generated images, can create convincing visuals, this does not undermine the extensive scientific evidence supporting the round Earth. So first, the images from space, such as those from NASA's Apollo missions, as I mentioned earlier, and those satellite photographs are not solely based on photography. They are backed by rigorous scientific methods and corroborated by countless observations from independent organizations around the world, including SpaceX. Second, the spherical nature of the Earth can be verified through various means beyond images. So as I mentioned earlier, Eratosthenes' shadow measurements and the way ships disappear half first over the horizon, shown by the pilots and the sailboat and the sailboaters that I mentioned earlier, provide tangible and repeatable evidence. So, moreover, no. In short, while technology can create images, the scientific understanding of our planet is built on a solid foundation of evidence and experimentation, making it much more reliable than the idea of a long-term deception. Thank you.
Apollo moon landing has been a long issue since a very long time. It's been believed that the moon landing is fake and only been photographed. Meaning NASA can give a reason or a full evidence that can completely what you call it that can completely convince the humans that the that believe that the earth is round. They still believe to this day that the moon taken by the Apollo is fake, and the scientific knowledge is not static. What's true to us right now, or what was true back then, doesn't necessarily mean that it will remain as such. That's literally why we're always publishing updated scholarly papers in the academy. Information is very dynamic because information is very dynamic and empirical. And how can we be sure NASA is being completely transparent to us? There can always be a chance that science and its branches is that hard to understand, is so that the scientists can be the only ones that can understand it. They won't.
Hello. So thank you for raising your point about the Apollo moon landing. So while some claim it was staged, this theory overlooks overall.
Can I further expand on this one? For as you said, the navigation where the boat goes down first. That observation that the ships disappear bottom first is often used as evidence of curved Earth, yes. But flat Earth opponents argue that this phenomenon can be explained through visual and perspective occlusion rather than curvature. As the ship moves away, it appears smaller and eventually blends into the horizon due to the limit of human vision, and the light behaves over distance. In addition, atmospheric conditions such as haze and distortion caused by the atmosphere can obscure the view of the ship, making it seem as though it's sinking below the horizon, when in fact it simply is becoming less visible. This effect is similar to how distant objects like mountains may appear to fade or become obscured as they move further away. Furthermore, the flat Earth models posit that if the Earth were truly curved, we would expect to see a consistent and measurable rate of disappearance based on curvature calculations, which does not align with what is actually observed in practice. Many flat Earth advocates suggest that the experimental observations from various distances do not consistently support the idea of curvature, thus challenging the conventional interpretation of this phenomenon. Wait po.
Um,
Gusto niyo po ulit ba?
to add, they point out that there have been no crewed moon landings since Apollo 17 in 1972, asking why we have not returned or explored further. Also, science has evolved significantly over the time, right? But there has been changes in our understanding of the world because of science, and the changes over time. The geocentric model, which placed the Earth at the center of the universe, it was accepted by back then. This view was supported by philosophers like Aristotle and Ptolemy. But In the 16th centuries, Copernicus proposed the heliocentric model, where the sun is at the center of the solar system. This theory was further supported by Galileo and Kepler, eventually leading to the modern understanding of planetary motion, meaning science changes over time and it don't stay the same, and it don't stay the same as it is when it was first discovered.
Hello. So, for your first question, about the Apollo landing, moon landing being fake. Um, However, I think this theory ignores strong evidence proving it happened because first, the Apollo program involved thousands of people, scientists, engineers, and astronauts. Keeping such a massive conspiracy secret is nearly impossible. So second, we have brought moon rocks back to Earth that have unique properties that are not found here. So these have been studied and verified by scientists worldwide. Additionally, the Soviet Union tracked the Apollo missions closely during the space race. So if it had been a hoax, they would have exposed it, but they confirmed the missions were real. So next and finally, recent lunar missions have taken photos of the Apollo landing sites showing the equipment left on the moon. So in conclusion, the claim that the moon landing was faked is unsupported and contradicted by substantial evidence. And I'm sorry, Lord, but you were unaudible earlier. Could you please repeat your question?
Thank you po. As I've said, the I was rebutting your observation that ships disappear bottom first. So it is often used as an evidence of a curved Earth, but flat Earth proponents argued that this phenomenon can be explained through perspective and visual obstruction rather than curvature. As a ship moves away, it appears smaller and eventually blends into the horizon due to the limit of the human vision and the way light behaves over distance. In addition, atmospheric conditions such as haze and distortion caused by the atmosphere can obscure the view of the ship, making it seem as though it is sinking below the horizon, when in fact it is simply becoming less visible. This effect is similar to how distant objects, like mountains, may appear to fade or become obscured as they move further away. Furthermore, flat Earth models posit that if the Earth were truly curved, we would expect to see a consistent and measurable rate of disappearance based on curvature calculations, which does not align with what is actually observed in practice. Many flat Earth advocates suggest that experimental observations from various distances do not consistently support the idea of curvature, thus challenging the conventional interpretation of this phenomenon. Furthermore, I have other questions. What are your thoughts on water turtle? How do you explain the fact that large bodies of water, like lakes and oceans, appear to be level and flat? What evidence do you have that water curves? And uh,
I'm
if
sorry
your
to
explanations are
interrupt.
evidence of spherical Earth, how do you explain the possibility of alternative models that could also account for this phenomenon? Why do you what do you think lies beyond Antarctica as well? Why is it access to it restricted? How do you explain the notion of it being an ice wall that are small? How do you also explain the patterns of star trails in different locations? Can they be reconciled with spherical Earth models without requiring the assumption of an infinite universe? And how does the Coriolis effect fit into your understanding of weather patterns and ocean currents on a spherical Earth?
I'm sorry, but next time can we have the questions not stacked so I can
Okay.
remember my answers. So
There's one question first.
so
Water
to answer your first question, which I remember is about ships disappearing over the horizon.
No, that was my rebuttal. My first question is the water surface.
The what?
Water surface. How do you explain that the fact that large bodies of water, like lakes and oceans, appear to level and flat? What evidence do you have that water can?
So while it's true that perspective can affect our view, this does not negate the evidence of Earth's curvature because, for example, in a large body of water, when a ship sails away, it appears to sink hull first, which is, again, as I mentioned earlier, is consistent with a spherical Earth. This phenomenon occurs because the ship is moving beyond the curve of the Earth. So if the Earth were flat, we would still see the entire ship no matter the distance. So moreover, you said things about the atmospheric conditions, like haze.
Yeah, which can.
So a haze can obscure visibility, but they cannot explain the consistent pattern we observe. So this sinking effect occurs at different distances and under varying conditions, consistently showing that the curvature of the Earth is the reason for the Earth's disappearance. So scientific studies support this observation. For example, the concept of the horizon in relation to Earth's curvature is well documented in physics, and I think the calculations used to predict visibility align with our understanding of a spherical Earth. So, in summary, while perspective in atmospheric conditions play a role, they do not account for the clear evidence of curvature demonstrated by the way ships disappear hull first on the horizon. So this consistent observation in those ships in large bodies of water reinforces the understanding that we live on a round planet.
So I'd like to add the fact that the water seems flat because of gravity and the largest of the Earth. So the large area of the Earth that covers it, we can see that it is flat, and because of the gravity, it remains like as flat talaga, and it will because of the horizon line, it seems like flat. But in the boundary of the horizon line, we cannot see the water anymore uh, because the water is because the vision or like the horizon line limits us, and because of the curvature of the Earth, it limits us to see the boundaries of that horizon line. So it does not mean that because the water is like flat, it does not mean that the Earth is also flat. It is does not correlate anything at all that because of the water, it means the Earth is too. And then to add, water seems flat over short distances because of Earth's curvature. And then, however, over larger altitude, like distances or from higher altitudes, we can see that the Earth's curvature is visible, and as I've said, gravity pulls on the water and the horizon line, which makes it look like a flat surface. And also, it is explainable. And then the curvature of the horizon line, we can explain it through atmospheric refractions, like the boundaries. And we can say that if you are on the shore, see the boat on the horizon line, we can see that they disappear from top to bottom. So if they go away from us, then it will be they will disappear top to bottom. So we will only see the top of the boat if they are on the edge of that. If we can, if like say see the boundary of the horizon line.
To rebut what Jeff said earlier about Americans beating the Soviets in moon landing, having such a huge conspiracy is not impossible. It's not like you experience in. It's not like you didn't experience it here in the Philippines in the politics. They are corrupt. There are many corrupt politicians and scientists also because money is always involved there, right? So corruption is not impossible. And about the photo of the moon landing, it argues that the photos taken on the moon appear to have anomalies such as inconsistent shadows or the absence of stars in the background, suggesting that they were staged, right? And imagine being in an elevator and the elevator accelerates. You can feel a force pulling you down, right? That is the concept of gravity. The Earth constantly accelerates upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared. Therefore, gravity is not a curvature of the space-time. It is a continuum, or as a fundamental force, but only as a force pulling us down.
Hello. So to first answer your points about the conspiracy theories. So the idea that the moon landing was fake is just simply not supported by evidence. Because first, again, I will mention again, the Apollo program involved thousands of scientists, engineers, and astronauts. Um, while you say that it's not impossible, I think keeping a conspiracy of that scale a secret is extremely unlikely because it involves thousands of people, close to 10,000. So no credible, what's that term? Whistleblowers have come forward. So and the scientific community has thoroughly vetted the evidence. So regarding your mention of corruption, while it exists in many fields, the scientific method relies on peer review and transparency. Independent independent verification of the moon landing, such as data and samples analyzed by various international scientists, support and strengthen this credibility. So, as for the photos showing anomalies like inconsistent shadows, um, I think these can be explained by the moon's unique lighting conditions, which differ from Earth's because there is no atmosphere on the moon, leading to much more sharper shadows. So finally, the thing you said about the elevator, um, I think you said gravity is not a fundamental force. Is that what you said? So to continue, I think gravity is a fundamental force. As again described by Einstein's theory of relativity, which explains how mass curves space-time. So the sensation of being pulled down in an elevator is consistent with gravitational force acting on mass, which we can observe everywhere in our everyday lives. So in summary, to sum up all the things I've said, the evidence supporting the moon landing is robust and scientific principles explain the phenomena observed. Conspiracy theories lack solid proof and fail to account for the extensive documentation and support, evidence, and verification of the Apollo missions. Thank you.
So to continue the debate and the cross examinations, I would like to ask a question that's about the credibility of the evidences or the beliefs that has been presented in this debate. So I would like to ask a question for the opposition that one, why is it in southern hemisphere, especially in Australia, that we can see that the moon is upside down, or like from seeing it from its southern point, or like say why it's upside down compared to in the northern hemisphere, the moon is normal, or like say it's not upside down, and then that's the first question is let me backtrack. Let me backtrack. That first question is, why is it the moon in southern hemisphere is different from the northern hemisphere? And the second question is, um, if the Earth is flat, why is there a lunar eclipse that the Earth casts a shadow to the moon, and then the moon it's like bright red because of the shadows that casted by the Earth, the planet Earth? And that's the question. Let me backtrack again. First question is, why is it that the moon in the southern hemisphere, why is the moon, especially in south hemisphere, or especially in Australia, is seen differently as in northern hemisphere? And second question, why is it that the lunar eclipse on a flat, if the Earth was flat, will still be a circle or like round? So why the Earth would cast a shadow that is round if it is flat? So that's the question.
Hello. To answer your what was the first question again? Uh, the moon's appearance
Uh,
on the hemisphere, right? Yeah, it differs
why
from
is it that the
hemisphere and the
southern
southern
hemisphere?
hemisphere.
Yes, yes.
Uh, the moon's appearance, we believe that the moon's appearance changes based on the viewer's position. If the Earth is flat, the angle from which an observer in the southern hemisphere looks at the moon differs from what an observer in the northern hemisphere. This difference in perspective can create the illusion of the moon being upside down. The moon is also a local light source rather than a distant spherical body. Its orientation might change depending on the observer's location. And the atmospheric conditions, such as haze as well, refraction, could affect how we perceive the moon. And some flat Earth models illustrate the moon's position relative to a flat Earth. If the moon moves in a circular path above the flat surface, this could explain why it appears differently depending on where you're observing from.
So to add the next
That
question.
the next question po, the second one about the lunar eclipse, we we could argue that the Earth casts a shadow. While the Earth casts a shadow on the moon during the lunar eclipse, the shape of that shadow, which is typically round, does not definitively prove that Earth is a sphere. A flat Earth could also cast a round shadow depending on the light sources and the angle of observation. Alternative models for what occurs during a lunar eclipse, for example, some flat Earth theories suggest that the moon itself could be reflecting light differently, or that there could be other celestial bodies involved that we cannot see, affecting the light that reaches the moon. And not all lunar eclipses appear the same to all observers. Different locations on Earth might see varying degrees of eclipse, which can be interpreted in a flat Earth model as variations in perspective rather than evidence of a spherical sphere.
Hello. To by what Jeff said earlier about a thousand of scientists being involved in the Apollo moon landing. If the Earth is real sphere, how about NASA giving us the unedited footage of it? How about the real footage? And even if they provide us the real image and the real footage of it, the raw footage of it, how can we be sure that that picture is real and it's taken on the moon? And about our question earlier, not still being answered, why is it that astronauts today is still not can't is still not being back in the moon.
Hello. Uh, I think I'll have to answer Daniel's question first because I didn't understand clearly the Lord's statement. Um, so I see. You said something about the moon being fake. So claiming that every image of Earth is CGI, I think is uh observed because I think you're suggesting that NASA, along with Russia, China, India, Japan, and private companies like SpaceX, are all in on some massive coordinated conspiracy to fake photos of Earth. I think these organizations have been in competition for decades. There's no logical reason for them to all be faking the same thing. So if you think like everyone is on the conspiracy thing, then I think you're just ignoring mountains of evidence from countless independent sources just to hold on to baseless conspiracy. Lord, can you repeat your question earlier?
It was more of a rebuttal, actually. Why we see the moon upside down in the southern hemisphere? The moon's appearance changes based on the viewer's position. If the Earth is flat, the angle from which an observer in the southern hemisphere looks at the moon differs from that of an observer in the northern hemisphere. This difference in perspective can create the illusion of the moon being upside down. We could also propose that the moon is a local light source rather than a distant spherical body. Its orientation might change depending on the observer's location. This local model can account for the various appearances of the moon without needing to invoke a spherical Earth. The atmospheric conditions, again, such as haze and refraction, could affect how we perceive the moon. And flat Earth models that illustrate the moon's position relative to a flat Earth. If the moon moves in a circular path above the flat surface, this could explain why it appears differently depending on where you are observing from. Now, to answer the second questions about the lunar eclipse, we could argue that while the Earth casts a shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse, the shape of the moon, which is typically round, does not definitively prove that the Earth is a sphere. Suggests that a flat Earth could also cast a round shadow depending on the light source and the angle of observation. Alternative models for what occurs during a lunar eclipse, for example, some flat Earth theories suggest that the moon itself could be reflecting light differently, or that there could be other celestial bodies involved that we cannot see, affecting the light that reaches the moon. And not all lunar eclipses appear the same to all observers. Different locations on Earth might see varying degrees of the eclipse, which can be interpreted in a flat Earth model as variations in perspective rather than evidence of a spherical Earth.
So before the timer ends, thank you for your point. The moon appears upside down in different hemispheres because of the Earth's um uh spherical shape. So in the southern hemisphere, people see the moon from a different angle than those in the northern hemisphere, right? So this is because of the curvature of the Earth, which means you're looking at the moon from below compared to the northern view. So if the Earth were flat, the moon would look the same from everywhere. So the fact that its appearance changes supports the idea of a round planet. So for our concluding statement,
So, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition and allies, as we conclude this debate, I want to emphasize the key reasons why the Earth is an oblate spheroid. First, throughout history, great philosophers like Pythagoras and Aristotle provided early evidence of a spherical Earth. Aristotle observed that during lunar eclipses, the Earth's shadow on the moon is round, which could only happen if the Earth is a sphere. Eratosthenes, the philosopher Eratosthenes, then later measured shadows in different locations and calculated the Earth's circumference with impressive accuracy, proving that it is not flat. In the age of exploration, the Magellan-Elcano expedition circumnavigated the globe, providing practical proof of a round Earth. If the Earth were flat, they would have encountered an edge, but they returned to their starting point, which is Spain. And in modern times, we have satellites and from space that we can take pictures of the moon, of the Earth, and of the moon, of the Earth, and other planets. And the opposing side often misinterprets gravity, and they say that refraction and haze happens, which does not make any sense to us, considering the fact that refraction, because atmosphere and refraction is practically in the same, like, or not in the same, but rather it is a two variables that affects each other, and because of that, we think that the Earth or the atmosphere controls it, and say that, or like say they manipulate it and they say that Earth could be flat because of the blah 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 in the moon itself, and the gravity pulls objects towards the center, as I've said before, because as the body of water turns flat because of the gravity and creating a spherical shape. And additionally, we see evidences like time zones and ships disappearing whole first over the horizon, all supporting the idea of a oblate spheroid Earth. So in summary, the evidence for a spherical Earth is overwhelming compared to what we have mentioned, because there are other historical observations to modern technology, such as satellites, that we have proved time and again that we live on a sphere planet. Let us embrace this scientific understanding and reject the flat Earth theories. Thank you.
All right. As for our closing argument, I would like to preface that everything is within contention. Everything is to be questioned, and everything that was and everything that would be said about the flat Earth would still be up there, even if it's for conspiracy. I'll go back to one of the things that were said about this being too out of logic, too like out there. It's too much effort for any government, any powerful entity to strike back. They have all the means in the world to keep it up, especially that they can keep it up. They'll keep it up. They won't stop the narrative because they're forced to. And this goes to our point that we should question everything. Everything is within contention. But here's one thing that I would say for this. For the moon landing, we've heard about the moon landing, Apollo 11. That was the last mission. That was the very last mission that was sent to the moon, and we've never come back since. That was 50 years ago, and why haven't we come back? What kind of things would there be, other reasons for them to just stop going there when the moon is such a big asset for us to keep discovering? It's it's almost okay. I'll back out. I'll back up a little bit, but as it stands, everything should be questioned, and that's why, as us that are defending the flat Earth, we want to say that not everything should be trusted. Not everything should be taken to heart, even if it's NASA, even if it's the biggest entity, government superpower that we have ever met. These are very powerful people, and these are easily able to manipulate us. We've had multiple instances. I will not list them down because they are out of this topic, but there has been questions about it and conspiracies that have been proven true. Some of them have been proven true. So I would like to end this our stance for saying, keep questioning. Do not think everything is real. That is all.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'll take over from this point. Okay, you may now stop sharing, Miss Ella May. Ella May. Maria May, sorry. Abang estudyante pala. So anyways, I'd like to give some points. Okay, so first, I'd like to comment muna no, yung ating first part, yung ating opening statement, no? Meron kayong mga good points, no, including this shape of the earth. Okay, then gumamit kayo ng induction, the theory topic na skepticism. Okay, nandyan siya. Pagdating naman sa against flat earth, andyan si binato yung argument na yung conspiracy theory is fake. Okay, so anyways, pagdating sa rebuttal, parang nagkagulo-gulo. I don't know, maybe sa timer, pero when we are doing rebuttal, dapat ito po ay tag-isang beses lang. Tag-isang 5 minutes. And also, when you are doing rebuttal, you don't need to give some questions muna. Just simply make a statement. Naging question and answer si rebuttal, which is hindi dapat. Okay, just to ang ating goal pagdating sa rebuttal ay siraan yung statement ng kabilang panig and strengthen your own. Okay? Then pagdating sa cross-examination, diyan pa lang tayo magtatanong. Sa cross-examination, when you are asking, unang-una niyong tatandaan is do not stack up your questions. Isa-isa lang. Isang tanong, then let them answer first. Kung may follow-up kang question, saka mo sasabihin follow-up question. Okay? Kasi tinan nyo yung nangyari, no? Nagka-stacking tayo ng questions, hindi tuloy masagutan ng maayos. Kasi anong disadvantage? Nakakalimutan. Okay? Kaya nagpapaulit-ulit, no? Inuulit-ulit yung question. Ano nangyayari? Sayang din yung oras ng nagtatanong. Okay? Then, magaganda naman yung naging sagutan. May mga haymakers, may mga magagandang naisagot din. Okay, and then siguro just to give some general comments, baka kasi mangyari sa susunod, do not include some Bible texts kasi we are in science and technology na course. Okay, so such things ay hindi dapat kasama rito. So when we are doing debate, so mas magandang ang ino-open yung topic ay may kinalaman din sa science and technology. So i-highlight ko lang din no yung idea of whistleblower, no. It is a very good point. Okay, tapos para sa kalabang team, included sa preparedness na dapat alam ninyo kung ano yung mga possible na itanong nila, pati yung possible na magiging answer nila para meron pa kayong backup question. So ganun dapat siya nagpe-play. Then yeah, so please make sure lang na masasagot nyo yung lahat ng question nila. So, an example dyan, no, bakit daw hindi bumalik sa moon yung ating person. So, pagdating sa debate, not necessarily sobrang accurate naman no, ng ating sagot. Ang kailangan mo lang mapaniwala yung mga audience, pati yung judges. So, bakit hindi sila bumabalik sa moon? Pwede mong sabihin masyadong mahal yung pag-moon landing, yung moon exploration. Then, mababa lang yung benefit. For the sake of papatunayan mo lang na spear yung Earth, gagastos ka ng ganong kalaki. So, pwede mo siyang erase ng ganon. Okay? So, I gave you the good sides tsaka yung something to improve on. So, I expect next debate, okay, next debate topic, Rain in a Bat, mas magiging maayos yung ating system. Okay, so just to have some ender, no, I'd like to call the audiences para to decide, no, which side is more convincing. Siguro gawin na lang natin by raising yung hand. Sa tawagin nating flat earthers tsaka non-flat earthers. Okay? So, students or audience, kung sa tingin nyo po na mas convincing yung mga flat earthers, pwede po tayong mag-raise ng hand. Wala na convince. Okay, so para naman sa yes.
Sir, actually, wait lang po. Nagkakaroon pa po kasi kami ng discussion.
Ooh, okay. About what?
About scoring po.
Okay. Hindi. It's the audience na, not the judges naman. So, kung sa tingin lang nila, based sa naging debate, yung sagutan, sino yung sa tingin nilang more convincing? It's not about the scoring, no? It's about the delivery and then the arguments na presented. So again, ulitin na lang natin, no? For students, kung sa tingin nyo po ay convincing yung naging side ng flat earthers, pwede po ba tayong mag-raise ng hand? Okay, so I think walang na-convince. So, para naman sa, if you are convinced na sa side ng ating non-flat earthers, kindly raise your hand. Unang-una si Ezekiel, oh. Spherical Earth. So, it's a matter of, scientific knowledge saka perception. Ito yung pinalalabas nitong Do We Live on a Flat Earth? So, okay. So, parang konti lang din yung nag-raise ng hand, no? Yung iba siguro undecided pa. So, sige, pakibaba na po. Thank you. Now, based naman sa, lagay nyo naman po sa reply, sino sa tingin nyo yung pinakamagandang or MVP, kumbaga, ngayong debate na ito? Okay, so pakilagay po yung pangalan ng sa tingin nyo yung pinakamagaling mag-debate for today's topic. Isa lang, bawal lang timer, Miss May. Isa lang dapat. Okay, so we appreciate ngayon, no? So everyone has decided, no? Sarap ng boses ni Jim. Grabe. Karon malabuyok kagrupo kasi siya. Okay, so anyway, sige, i-comment natin, no? Congratulations to Jeff Lesias, no, for being the MVP for today's topic. Okay, so before we actually end this session, pwede po ba nating i-open yung camera? Stop ka na muna yung recording.